very good evening and welcome once again to Primetime News. I'm Adushka Balasuriya.
And I'm Minoshi Ratnasekara.
Now, a new WHO report on suicide rates has ranked Sri Lanka 4th among 172 nations.
We have the details of this story later on in the bulletin. But before that, here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Casting of postal votes for the Uva Provincial Council commences. Elections Commissioner appears before the Human Rights Commissioner over a complaint filed by the JVP. Court orders the Divisional Secretary of Ampara to make a statement over the felling of kumuk trees.
Postal voting for the Uva Provincial Council poll began today and will take place tomorrow as well. According to Additional Elections Commissioner R.M. Ratnaika, those who are unable to cast their postal votes today or tomorrow could do so on the 11th of this month.
A total of 30,656 individuals are eligible to cast postal votes for the Uva Provincial Council election. The Election Secretariat noted that 19,985 postal voters are present in the Monragala district, while a further 10,671 individuals are eligible to cast postal votes from the Monragala district. A total of 11,380 applicants who applied for postal voting rights from both districts were rejected by the Election Secretariat. The Secretariat also noted that displaying posters of political parties or the distribution of handbills at postal voting centres have been completely banned. A total of 247 postal voting centres have been set up in the Badula district. 135 postal voting centres have been set up in the Monragala district. According to the police, a special security plan has been put in place for the days on which postal voting takes place. Meanwhile, election observers state that they have deployed their representatives to look into how the postal voting process takes place. The observers note that postal voting concluded today in a peaceful manner.
Casting of postal votes in the upcoming elections commenced today. The Elections Commissioner said that postal votes could be cast tomorrow as well. Security was tight in the Monragala district with roadblocks placed in several areas.
In election-related news, a special meeting was convened today to discuss a complaint lodged by the JVP with the Human Rights Commission. Elections Commissioner Mahinda Deshapriya too was present at the meeting.
A complaint was lodged with the Human Rights Commission by the JVP stating that district seminars that are being held for degree-holding development officers of the Ministry of Economic Development, development officers of the Divi Naguma program and agrarian development officers are adversely affecting the Uva Provincial Council polls. A group of high-ranking officials of the Divi Naguma Development Department were also present at the meeting that was held to discuss about the complaint.
The JVP was unable to prove this. They are saying there is a plan to do something like this. This is a fictitious story created by them. They said they have audio recordings, but they have not brought any of this today. They came empty-handed. This is completely false. The points they presented before the commission by the Elections Commissioner proved that several steps have been taken.
The Election Commissioner refused to speak to the media subsequent to the meeting.
I will
issue a press release. The complete story will not be told. If I speak a word or two, even if I speak, you only can put 30 seconds.
Press release
The commissioner who left the location came back to make these remarks.
We received a complaint on the 20th that government officials are being utilized for election activities in the Uva province on the expense of the government. We wrote to the relevant ministries on the 21st. The Ministry of Economic Development and the Divi Naguma Department has informed us that no one has been sent for election activities on government funds. No outside officials have been dispatched by the Ministry of Economic Development for a survey in the Uva province, which will be held from the 5th to the 8th. We had taken action on this complaint earlier. The Elections Commission has not waited without doing anything. We will send letters to all the secretaries of ministries that government officials cannot be involved in any political party other than casting the vote. Disciplinary action will be taken if this is not the case.
You're watching News First, and up next is the battle for UWA.
My friends, it is the UNP that provided water to develop agriculture in this area. Now there is no water. They want to move all the water to Hambantota. The farmers have no water to cultivate with, and the people have no water to drink.
At present, millions have been spent on drinking water projects. The previous government, before providing drinking water, came to Mahayangana and spoke of the development in Colombo.
Now they are saying if you cannot drink this water, you will be given seawater to drink. Let's all collect a coconut shell and a pot and step out to the streets and ask them to give us seawater once the election is over. They are deceiving you with such lies.
We are not afraid of a public opinion nor a vote. That is the difference between these governments. Therefore, the opposition has nothing to say inside or even outside of parliament.
Look back at the past 5 years. What was done? Was the farmer protected? Do you even have drinking water? Was a reasonable price given for your produce? Was agriculture developed?
Balagalla, a former of the provincial council who was in power for a long time, lives nearby, and yet, what has he done for the village? There is another from Ridhimaliadde who was sent to parliament in 2004. He deceived our mothers and fathers and secured their votes. What has he done? Balagalla and Samantha Vidyaratna speak to the media about the Matara Thitha. They say to the media that Andra Vidana Gamage and Tenuka Vidana Gamage own bars. Yes, they do. But we did not obtain these after coming into politics. We do not sell arak. Those establishments are on rent.
We are not involved in politics to earn money. We are not from wealthy families. We are from poor families like you. Yet, we are rich in one thing over the Vidana Gamages. What is it? In knowledge.
What has the alliance government left for you, the people of the Badulla district? Malnutrition amongst the pregnant mothers in the Badulla district is 41%. 1 in every 3 children is a victim to malnutrition.
Look at the country. The UNP cannot come together on one platform. How can such a UNP win an election in the UWA province?
Last night on Primetime News, we brought you footage of an individual armed with a sword behaving in an unruly manner opposite the Monaragala Hospital complex. Following are the visuals of the incident.
When News first contacted the Monaragala police station, they stated that they did not receive a complaint about the incident until 4 this evening. The police added that as they were occupied at the time, they did not witness the News First report.
Meanwhile, the police added that a complaint was lodged stating that a certain individual had insulted a member of the Monaragala Pradesh Sabha identified as Samantha Prema and the former chief minister. The PC member in question owns a shop opposite the Monaragala hospital.
UNP MPs and activists allege that UNP supporters in the UWA province were attacked by the henchmen of the leader of the Cinnamon Pole Army, who is a member of the Leadership Council. They point out that the oppression of the Cinnamon Pole Army that attacked UNP supporters in Mathura has spread to the UWA province as well.
United National Party activists point out that true UNPers will never fear the Cinnamon Pole Army, adding that those who join the Cinnamon Pole Army will suffer a loss in UWA similar to the loss in the south.
Tissa Kutti Arachi, who is connected to the Cinnamon Pole Army, had blocked my son's vehicle and then threatened to kill my son by pointing a pistol at his head. They had threatened to kill me too. This person, who is connected to the Cinnamon Pole army, is not a person from the Monaragala district. They are trying to bring in external forces and drive fear into the minds of the people. I think that the UNPS will never bow down to such forces.
These are the same folks that started the assault on Sirikota by hurling water bottles. They angered the people. These are the same folks that are assaulting the UNPers and our members with cinnamon poles. I can clearly state that these people have infiltrated the UNP and as acting as forces loyal to the government and destroying the UNP.
Leader, you might recall when the Cinnamon Pole army put forward an actress for the south, the people rejected her. Similarly, I believe that another part of them have come forward for the Uva province as well. That is why our supporters are being assaulted. You can never use the Cinnamon Pole army to achieve victory for the party. I request you to once again put forth true party members as candidates.
In case you're just tuning in, you're watching Primetime News on News First.
And here's what's coming up on the news tonight.
Leaders of military alliance to meet with Ukraine president in the UK as NATO chief warns of biggest threat since Cold War. These stories and much more coming up on the international desk with me, Shaheen Jurangpati.
2 persons have been arrested in connection to vandalizing 2 hoardings in the Rikila-Gaskada town. According to the police, they were produced before the Walapene magistrate today.
According to the Rikila-Gaskada Traders Association, a meeting was held between them, the UDA and President Mahinda Rajapaksa on the 5th of August pertaining to the development of the Rikila-Gaskada town. The meeting was organized through the intervention of Minister C.B. Ratnayaka. The hoardings had been erected by the Traders Association on the 15th of last month following the conclusion of the meeting. The aim of the hoardings was to create public awareness on the development of the town. The hoardings also contained a group photograph taken with the president. However, a group vandalized the hoardings last night.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa has begun a massive development program in Rikila-Gaskada. We erected these hoardings in honor of him. However, they have been destroyed and we regret this.
This was the fate of another hoarding which was erected in the Rikila-Gaskada town. This hoarding displayed details of a decision to construct a swimming pool for the Poromadulla National School at a cost of 30 million rupees under the guidance of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development. This too came about through the intervention of Minister C.B. Ratnayaka. The school's principal and past pupils association had erected this hoarding on the 25th of last month after the necessary funds were approved for the project.
Over the past 4 to 5 days, an oppressive situation has arisen unlike ever before. Even we cannot figure out what their motive is. Minister S.V. Disanayaka's son Narada Disanayaka was appointed as the co-organizer of Hanguranketa recently. Following his appointment, he and his supporters clashed with me and he even threatened to kill me. The hoarding was erected by the Traders Association to thank the president. This has been destroyed. A decision was reached to construct a swimming pool at the Poromadulla National School. This was something that we needed badly. A large hoarding was erected for this purpose in the Rikila-Gaskada town. It has been destroyed. It is unclear as to why this is being done.
Hello, Narada Disanayaka මහත්තයාද?
ඔව්.
මම කතා කරන්නේ Newsfirst ප්‍රෝත්‍යාංශයෙන්.
ඔව්.
ඔබතුමාට චෝදනාවක්. An allegation has been leveled that you were involved in the destruction of 2 hoardings in the Rikila-Gaskada town. ඔබතුමා කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවයි කියලා.
2 hoardings?
Yes, 2 hoardings.
No, I am unaware of any such thing. I am not in Hanguranketa. I was appointed as organizer on Sunday and I haven't even gone there yet. A welcoming ceremony has been organized tomorrow. I was not to go there before it. I know about the two banners.
What are those banners?
Something to do with the poster. Or people weren't involved. We don't know who did it. Not anyone who works with us. This must be some attempt to involve me in this. I hear that culprits were apprehended by the police. I believe they will be dealt with legally.
There are allegations that the suspects arrested are your supporters.
No, I have no involvement in it. I don't know these people, nor have I ever met them.
Chairman of the Hanguranketa Pradesh Sabha, Ranasinghe Dissanayake, called Newsfirst at around 6 p.m. and stated that the hoardings had been destroyed by a group who support Jayalal Dissanayake, who is SB Dissanayake's brother and Narada Dissanayake's uncle. We attempted to contact Jayalal Dissanayake in order to obtain a response from him. However, our efforts proved futile. According to the police, a mobile patrol of the Hanguranketa police had arrested the two culprits who were vandalizing the hoardings at around 2 a.m. The police added that upon being produced before the Hanguranketa Judicial Medical Officer, it was confirmed that the two suspects were intoxicated. The suspects were produced before the Walapane magistrate today and were released on two sureties of 50,000 rupees each. The case will be taken up for consideration once again on the 23rd of October.
The lawsuit filed against former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca and former Captain Senaka Haripriya De Silva was taken up in court once again today.
The case was pertaining to an incident which occurred during the 2010 elections where the respondents were accused of harboring a group of army officers. The case was postponed to the 5th of November and the passport of Senaka Haripriya, which was in court custody, was released for a period of 1 month.
There are two puppets in the country. One is the Elections Commissioner and the other is the Attorney General. These two puppets are operating to deprive the people of democracy and justice in the country. We do not believe that justice will be meted out to us because of these two persons. I request the international community and the UN to take action against them.
You're watching News First. Up next is Action TV.
The Namaloya Pradesh Sabha today unanimously passed a resolution against the Action TV expose on the 16th of last month, citing that the Action TV report had caused an inconvenience to the Ampara Divisional Secretary. Action TV revealed on the 12th of August that a kumbuk tree in the Kotavihara area in Ampara was being felled and stripped for timber and that it was graded by the forest conservation officers. Action TV also revealed that the Ampara Divisional Secretary had directed a letter to the Grama Niladhari officer of Kotavihara on the 7th of August over the incident, which contained false information. The forest reserve in which the kumbuk tree in question was located at falls under the purview of the Namaloya Pradesh Sabha.
This operation was being undertaken together by the Samurdhi beneficiaries and the Samurdhi officers. If the secretary has the right to provide timber for other constructions, doesn't he have the right to provide timber for a construction at the secretariat? The divisional secretary had spoken to him several times. Timber was required for the Samurdhi organization because they cannot purchase it.
When you consider the views expressed by the members of the Pradesh Sabha during the debate, it is clear that either they are not aware of the issue in question or they have been misled by a certain individual. In the letter dated the 7th of August, the Divisional Secretary says that the timber of the kumbuk tree in question was to be used for the renovation of the Divisional Secretariat. In addition, the B report presented to court along with the three suspects by the Forest Conservation Department are similar to what was exposed by Action TV. The Chief Magistrate of Ampara has ordered the Ampara Divisional Secretary and the Grama Niladhari officer of Kotavihara to provide statements to the Forest Conservation officers over the incident. This order was issued after the Forest Conservation Department complained to court that the Ampara Divisional Secretary and the Grama Niladhari officer of Kotavihara had refused to provide statements to the department. Meanwhile, one of the kumbut trees in the Kotavehara Forest Reserve that was set ablaze by certain individuals in the recent past had fallen to the ground today.
The Kaltara substation of the Wildlife Department, which was established in aiding the area residents of Hambegamua and Thanamavila in case of wild elephant attacks, came under attack by wild elephants last night.
A number of operations to drive away wild elephants was launched from this substation. However, wild elephant attack which took place last night destroyed this building. Wildlife officials state that the elephant had arrived from the Udawalawe Reserve. Our correspondent in the area noted that no one was present inside the building at the time of the attack.
We are sad to say this. When such things occur to them, what respite do we have? We have no one to tell this to.
In business news tonight, traders in the Kapitipol Economic Centre charged they are unable to purchase locally grown potatoes due to the government stipulated rate imposed on the produce. They add that if they were to buy potatoes from a local farmer, it would cost them 80 rupees per kilo, while imported potatoes would only cost them 45 to 55 rupees per kilo in the market. However, the Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade issuing a communique stated that if traders from the Kapitipol Economic Centre do not purchase potatoes from local farmers, measures will be taken to repossess their stalls.
In the recent weeks, farmers in the Badula district commenced potato harvesting. Thereby, with the intervention of the government, a decision was reached to sell a kilo of potatoes at a government certified price of 80 rupees. However, a communique issued by the Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade showed that numerous complaints were lodged against the main economic centre in the district, which is the Valimad Economic Centre, stating that they were not purchasing potatoes from local farmers. When Newsfirst toured the economic centre to inquire into the reason behind this, traders at the centre stated that they have come to a position where they are unable to purchase locally grown potatoes.
Farmers do not like to give potatoes at the rate we are requesting. This is not about the lack of potatoes in the market. We have told the farmers that we are unable to sell potatoes at the same rate Satosa sells them for. From the very start, we have given credit to the farmers to harvest potatoes. But now we are in a position where we are unable to take loans from the banks. The Ministry of Trade has stated that if we do not purchase local potatoes, they will reclaim our stalls. If farmers do not bring potatoes to this economic centre, as traders, what can we do about this? We are helpless at this point.
If the government is purchasing a kilogram of potatoes at 80 rupees, why are these traders unable to sell it at the same rate?
The main reason behind this is because imported potatoes in the market can be purchased at prices between 45 and 55 rupees.
Now, earlier on in our primetime news bulletin, we featured a story of an individual acting in a very unruly manner opposite the Monaragala base hospital. Cabinet media spokesperson was queried at a media briefing on the matter earlier today.
I don't know. I didn't see the sword to tell you whether it was real or not. However, if there's a lapse when implementing the law, we will look into it and take action.
Now, in a headline-making story, a new WHO report has placed Sri Lanka fourth among 172 countries in suicides, with 28.8 deaths for every 100,000 people, far above the global average of 11.4 per 100,000. Commenting on the landmark report, capping a decade of research, whose chief Margaret Shan said it is estimated that over 800,000 people die each year by suicide, who cautioned that suicide figures are often sketchy, with less than half of those nations keeping clear tallies. WHO noted that suicide victims are often from marginalized groups of population, many of them poor and vulnerable to a string of pressures.
Moving on, the US Embassy in Colombo has introduced a new US non-immigrant visa application system which will come into effect from the 7th of September.
According to a communique issued by the embassy, the new system is being implemented worldwide and will allow applicants to make their own appointments online from home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Speaking at the media briefing, Consular Chief Sally Sterling explained on the steps to be followed in the new system.
I'll now review the 6-step process for applying for a visa at the U.S. Embassy. Step number 1. This part is staying the same. Applicants will complete the DS-160, an online application form that captures demographic information and the purpose of travel. Step number 2. This one is new. Applicants will create an account to schedule an appointment and print their bank deposit slip. Step number 3. This is also new. Applicants will bring the bank deposit slip to a local DFCC bank to pay the required application fee. Step number 4. Applicants will then log back into the scheduling website to make an interview appointment using the bank payment receipt. Applicants will need to wait 1 to 2 business days after paying to schedule their appointment. Steps 5 and 6 stay the same. Applicants visit the U.S. Embassy for their scheduled appointments. Interviews are Monday through Friday morning. If the visa is approved, applicants pick up their passports at Embassy Colombo.
The Department of Meteorology states that showers may occur in the Uva, North Central and Eastern provinces in the island during the afternoon or evening hours. Several areas in the Ampara district, which has been affected by the drought for the past 9 months, received rainfall yesterday.
The Sirisha Shakti Sahan Yatra travelled the Ampara district to provide relief to drought-affected areas on the 1st of this month. Dry rations and water were distributed to communities in the Damana and Uhuna Divisional Secretariat areas, as well as the Timirigola, Kartagasyaya, Latugala, Bokbadda and Piangal areas. When Newsfirst toured the area, villagers stated that rains were experienced yesterday and day before yesterday.
After the donations were given, rains were experienced in the area. It was a big help for us. I do not know if it was because of the people's goodness that such a thing happened.
We received rain on the same day when the donations were given. Rains fell for a period of 2 days. I believe we received rains because of the company's meritorious deed.
Heavy showers fell in the area on the same day the donations were distributed. The environment came alive.
Here's the weather forecast for the drought-affected areas.
In your international news, Moscow has accused Washington of backing what it calls the party of war in Kiev and said that it was counting on a response from the leadership in Ukraine and rebels in its east to a Kremlin ceasefire plan.
Western leaders have criticized Russia for its destabilizing influence on the crisis in Ukraine as they opened NATO summit in Wales. Shahin Jarampathy now joins us from the Newsfirst International Desk.
Thank you very much. Well, hello and good evening and welcome to the Newsfirst International Desk with me, Shahin Jarampathy. Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri has announced the formation of an Indian branch of his armed global group that he said would spread Islamic rule and raise the flag of jihad across the subcontinent.
He also renewed a long-standing vow of loyalty to Afghan Taliban leader Mullah Omar in an apparent snub to the Islamic State armed group challenging Al-Qaeda for leadership of transnational Islamist militancy. Zawahiri described the formation of Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent as a glad tidings for Muslims in Burma, Bangladesh, Assam, Gujarat, Ahmedabad and Kashmir and said the new wing would rescue Muslims there from injustice and oppression. Counter-terrorism experts say Al-Qaeda's aging leaders are struggling to compete for recruits with Islamic State, which has galvanized young followers around the world by carving out tracts of territory across the Iraq-Syria border. Indian politicians expressed serious concern over the announcement made by the Al-Qaeda leader.
This is a very serious issue and a matter of concern. We have a very strong government. The government will take strict action on the issue and will not let this happen.
It's extremely worrying if the Al-Qaeda chief has now put India in the crosshairs of the radical Islamist organizations of the world. The government must take cognizance of this.
So I strongly condemn this, and I think government also must have taken note of it. India cannot become panicky to such calls or such threats, and India has the capacity, inherent strength to face any threat issued to its sovereignty and security.
NATO leaders are holding a summit in the UK in a bid to show unity against Russia over the conflict in Ukraine after France suspended delivery of a warship to Moscow, despite a surprise peace plan put forward by the Kremlin.
Ukraine and the new threats posed by the Islamic State group in Iraq, Syria and beyond are expected to dominate the two-day summit in Wales. NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen said the upcoming NATO summit would address an arc of crisis encompassing threats from Islamic State militants in Syria and Iraq, as well as the situation in Ukraine.
In today's world, we are, so to speak, surrounded by an arc of crisis to the east, to the southeast, to the south. And at this summit, we will address the whole range of security challenges and improve NATO's ability to act swiftly if needed.
To highlight support for Kiev, leaders will meet Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko for a session of the NATO-Ukraine Council set up after the country became an alliance partner in 1997. The meeting will send a clear signal of their support for Ukraine's sovereignty and that the onus is on Russia to de-escalate the situation.
Win 2 return air tickets to Chicago. Enter the Chicago Premiere Competition and vote for your favorite movie. Read Ceylon today for details.
On Sports News tonight, Sri Lankan cricket captain Angelo Matthews was crowned as the Cricketer of the Year 2014 at the glamorous Sri Lanka Cricket Awards held last evening in Colombo.
That's right. Kumar Sangakkara, meanwhile, was crowned the People's Player of the Year 2014.
Sri Lanka Cricket Awards is organised to recognise and appreciate the cricketers, teams, umpires and sports journalists who showcased their talents during 2013 and 2014. Chamari Atapattu was adjudged the best batter in the Women's ODI Awards category. Former captain Shashikala Siriwardena was named as the best bowler and best all-rounder in the Women's ODI Awards. The award for the Emerging Cricketer of the Year was won by wicketkeeper batsman Niroshan Dikwalla. Kumar Sangakkara and Angelo Matthews were crowned as the best batsman in Test for Sri Lanka, while the best bowler award in that category was won by Rangana Herath. Sri Lankan cricket captain Angelo Matthews was adjudged the best all-rounder in ODIs. Lasith Malinga was adjudged the best bowler in both the ODIs and T20 format. Kusal Jonith Pereira was adjudged the best T20 batsman. Angelo Matthews beat fellow nominees Kumar Sangakkara and Rangana Herath to be adjudged the Cricketer of the Year. Kumar Sangakkara won the People's Player of the Year 2014 award.
Now, staying in cricket news, a century by South Africa's Faf du Plessis secured the Proteas a spot in Saturday's final against Australia in the Zimbabwe Triangular Series today.
That's right, the match was played at the Harare Sports Club.
Batting first, the Proteas scored 271 runs, with du Plessis posting 121 and JP Duminy contributing with 51. Chasing 272 to win, Zimbabwe could only muster up 208 as the South African bowling department did the damage at regular intervals. Faf du Plessis, meanwhile, was adjudged the man of the match.
And now in news from the Basketball World Cup, USA defeat New Zealand 98-71 early today. However, all eyes were on the Tall Blacks haka, a rare performance by the New Zealand basketball team.
The faces said it all. Team USA, featuring a host of NBA superstars, were left mesmerized and shocked at the Basketball World Cup after facing a New Zealand haka.
And with that interesting performance, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. For the News First team, I'm Minosha Ratnasekaran.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Thanks for stopping by.
Good night.